Well guys, another sort of impromptu video. You're gonna hear my neighbors mowing their lawn. I just had one of my other neighbors drive his quad about 40 miles an hour down a residential street without a helmet. Not sure what they're doing, but when you live kind of out in the country, that's what you deal with. I am just in my driveway, no qualms with pretending I'm in the middle of nowhere this morning. But big exciting day is we're doing a component test. I want to make sure everything is working the way it's supposed to, and then I'm going to go back and I've got custom cables to make the custom lengths. This board is just a temporary board just to kind of see how the layout's going to fit behind the seat there, but it's just a component test today. I want to see and make sure everything is working. So we have the solar is hooked up on the roof. I have 280 watt panels of Bouge RV panels, and those have to be in parallel to keep the voltage under. We'll talk about that in a second. But the big thing, as you guys have been following this story, is lithium packs have been built. They are done. They are in here. I'll put in a shot here, but they fit perfectly in the battery holder I built for the Group 31 deep cycle batteries. So if you guys are looking at this as an alternative, I would like to have a little bit more buffer between this metal frame, but it is a very tight fit with enough room in the front for the BMS. I did test this out with the Noco just battery case. However, those are too big to fit in here. I could redesign this, but I already have this built. It is sturdy. It's designed to bolt in to the bus. So I'm going to run with it. The biggest issue with putting these in to see if that worked is I can no longer go directly with alternator charging without something as a go-between. Some sort of DC to DC charger. So we're using the Renogy. It's like the DSS50. It is a combination DC to DC charger as well as an MPT solar controller, all in one unit. Not to say I won't have other solar controllers later, because we've got some other plans coming up the road, but I wanted one simple box that was going to be able to run it all, and I'll tell you why. But as 50 amps gets split up between 25 solar and 25 alternator charging. However, if it does not detect solar, it should be able to pump more amps from the alternator in, up to 50 amps, and vice versa. If you aren't running the truck or they aren't connected to the house batteries, which I'm using the solenoid still from the disconnect from the truck to the house batteries. When I disconnect that, theoretically, I can get more out of my solar. So I've got the shunt and everything hooked up today, and we're just doing honest capacity tests. Right now, it's almost at a float charge. It is at 14.35. I'm only pulling 5 amps of solar right now at 75 watts. The really cool thing, and one of the things I was super stoked about, is because it's all one system and it's all hooked up through the house battery to get alternator charging, it also works in reverse. So when my batteries hit their 4.2 float, it started pushing power into my start batteries. So my biggest worry is when I'm gone all summer long and for wildland fire and weeks at a time, and I come back to a dead battery, or we're out in the middle of nowhere and I come back and I can't start it after a couple weeks of being in the backcountry. So when the house batteries are topped off, it starts putting power over there. And even this morning, we are in kind of a hazy, cloudy day this morning. I tried to get some epic sunrise shots with the solar panels, but it was just too hazy. It may even rain later today. But even at like 10:30 when we had pretty good sun, and I'm still kind of underneath some large trees in my yard, I was getting 14 to 15 amps coming off of just the solar. Now, it didn't take long for the lithium to suck up all that power. I'd only used the shop vac for about an hour yesterday just to test the batteries, make sure everything was working. And so it was topping off what I used from the 1100 watt shop vac for, I think it was like 45 minutes to an hour while we worked on the backyard. So it didn't take long, and then I watched it, and my truck batteries, the Odyssey, you guys have seen them before. They are an AGM battery, and it was at 12.89, 12.9, 12.91, 12.92, 12.93, 12.94. I was literally watching the house battery just take that left over 15 amps of solar. And it was a beautiful thing. So right now, I've been running some errands. I went and got some sand for the pool, all sorts of fun things as my day goes on. However, it says right now starter battery is 3.7. That's fantastic. And again, the shunt that's connected to my house battery does have the ability to know what that's doing over there. Now, you can kind of see the lights flash back here. It's flashing between alternator and solar, and that's because everything is just topped up. And I'm so ecstatic about it. Now, there's not often that we sat in one place for weeks at a time, but I want the ability to without having to run the truck. Our trip last November, we only spent, I think, up to 2 days in one location before we were moving on. And in the middle of a winter, running the diesel heater, the fridge didn't take too much power because it was already like -6 out. But just operating all the things. It gets dark earlier, you're running interior lights to make meals and things of that nature. And the deep cycle lead acids were just not holding up. Now I turned over and I sold them locally here for a good deal to a gentleman who's going to go to school, and his trailer didn't come with batteries. So hopefully that serves him well. But I know going forward, lithium is the right answer and the solution for my goals at being self-reliant as far as power solutions off the grid for much, much longer in the backcountry. So up on the roof, I do have plans to build some sort of a roof rack, not for storing items, but to add as a ninja bar, a protection rail over solar panels and the roof fan, the Max Air fan. I'm going to talk to a local fabricator this week about starting the nose cone, and then we're going to run that to the back. I really this week did not have time to try to figure out where to drill into the roof to tie into my cross members to build a rack. So Amazon, no drill kit, Sikaflex 221 is what we used. I'll put in some shots as we talk. It is a glue-on solar bracket solution. So what you're going to see is it's further back than I intended. These brackets are designed to sit flat on a flat roof, and I've got kind of a curve. I intended these solar panels to be kind of on each side of my Max Air fan up front, which would give me enough room to put 2 more in the back. I almost turned them sideways so I could at least get a third panel. But right now, 360 watts isn't quite as much, but with 560 amp hours of batteries, I don't ever foresee using that much power in a 24-hour period that the solar panels can't recharge it, or versus the alternator. This is all just conjecture because we haven't lived and taken it on adventure. So what I'm doing today is, this is all working amazingly, and I need to start building some custom cables. You can see I've got a spaghetti of wires everywhere. We need to start getting some inline fuses. I'm going to primarily use kind of an inline breaker panel, one so that if I need to, I can kill that battery or that connection with a button. And I was actually doing that. So there's 2 for the solar up there. I do have an inline fuse for the solar as well as a breaker box, and that just gives me a little bit more control. So if I'm having issues with one battery, it'll trip. So each battery is going to get a 150 amp fuse inline, which should no problem match the BMS that's designed for each one. So everything else is looking really good. The only other sort of upgrade we're going to be doing is we've got an XDP alternator, a high amp alternator for the early series Power Stroke engines. They don't know for sure if it's going to fit the E-Series, so that's going to be a separate video. We are going to see if we can make this work, just because with off-road lights and everything else we plan on doing here, and the amount of power that these lithiums can just suck up, I want to be able to put more amps at them. Now we are going to be limited to 50 amps with the Renogy. Down the road, we'll see what happens. You know, we may upgrade. I have plans to get flexible panel set up. One, because you don't always want to be out in the open. Or, you know, to get solar, you want to be able to park kind of in a shady spot, run your portable panels out there and soak up the sun that way. And as well as the winter. You guys, most of my adventures are in the winter. And I do have kind of a plan to tilt the panels, but currently as this quick setup is going to get me through summer, that won't happen. So we're going to see. Time will tell. But for safety and just for my peace of mind, we're going to get all the fuses built in and start building some custom, custom cables. Everything will almost be 2 gauge, which should be enough. I have a couple 2/0s that were left over. I'm probably going to use those somewhere else, maybe even in the alternator video, but time will tell, guys. This is running on way too long. This is 10 minutes of me blabbing on to the Power Solutions. Hope you all have been well, and yeah, it's going to be a crazy fire season, so I wanted to kind of get this buttoned up and get some fun family adventures with the new power system, and so I can get that tested and let you guys know how it goes. So several of you have reached out to me for the lithium packs. For right now, I'm not going to be selling these, but if you guys want me to build some, get a hold of me, and you know, there'll be a down lag time. I won't charge much over cost to put stuff together, and you got to be somewhat local, because I don't feel like shipping lithiums around the country. So we'll start there. Reach out to me, guys, if you want to see if we can put some stuff together for you. But yeah, Wandering Beast, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you down the road.
Thanks for all the love and support. You guys are amazing. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow the adventure on social media, and we'll see you on the road.